going into MMA. Don't rule it out.
Okay.
I'm just not overly passionate about it.
Okay.
Right. And it's hard to sell things if you're not that passionate about it. You know, like if you sell photocopiers, right? And you're working for this photocopying company, and they produce shit photocopiers, right? And you've got to fly all over the country and all over the state selling this photocopier. But every time I'm telling you and look in your eyes, this is a great photocopier, it prints real fast and real clear. And it's got this tray as well. It's amazing that you know, if you press a button, it'll go to this other tray. But really, deep down in your heart, you don't believe in it. When you're selling that, I could see in your eyes that you don't really believe it. So, and that's a little bit like Oscar when he was selling the MMA event. You know, deep down, he's not an MMA man. But Dana White is an MMA man. And I think Dana White would have the same problem in boxing. Dana White is not a boxing man. So I can't sell MMA like I can sell boxing, because I believe boxing is the greatest sport in the world. So when I'm talking about it, when I'm telling you about a fight night, when I'm telling you about fights, I'm excited, I'm loving it, and that will come across in the sales pitch.
You was correct with your pay-per-view estimations when we talked last time.
Thank you very much.
Around 300, 350, 325.
Apparently.
So has the offer, is it going to be the same offer that you're going to...
No, we'll increase the offer, but I don't know whether Wilder wants the fight. You know, he says that Joshua's running from the fight. Now he says Joshua's begging for the fight. You can't be running from the fight and begging from the fight. It's one or the other. So I just want Joshua to have the chance to be undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And the only way that can happen is if those two fight each other. There is an attractive rematch. It's a big fight. But it all depends what Wilder wants. Does he want to create a legacy? Does he want to be an undisputed champion? Or does he want to fight Fury? I mean, they're very different fights. The Fury fight's going to be very tricky. Wilder's not going to get hurt in that fight. But against Joshua, someone is getting brutally put to sleep. Yeah. So maybe he don't want that kind of risk. Maybe he wants that. He just feels like he could box with Fury and hopefully knock him out. But I don't know what his aspirations are in his life.
Lastly, was the draw the best outcome for boxing heavyweight division, knowing that it doesn't necessarily have to do around Joshua? It could also do, you know, the Millers of the world, the Furies of the world.
They want to pretend that Joshua doesn't exist.
Okay.
You know, oh, who needs Joshua? Who needs Joshua? He's the #1 heavyweight with all the belts. Have you seen when he fights? Have you seen the spectacles?
Yeah,
trust me.
89, yeah.
So, but it's great for the whole division. The division's not about Anthony Joshua. It's not about Deontay Wilder. It's about the heavyweight division. It's about Tyson Fury, Luis Ortiz, Dillian Whyte, Chisora, Jarrell Miller. You know, it's about the division being so stacked and deep right now. And whenever there's a boom in the sport of boxing, it generally comes from that division.
Thank you for your time, man. I will let you go.
Thank you,
Eddie, good to see you.
Hey, man.
To take it to this fight, you know, Rocky's coming in. He's the champ. He's bigger, but he's being overlooked. He's being underestimated.
Yeah, I think I say he deserves to be overlooked and underestimated. He's fighting Canelo Alvarez, so he's a massive underdog in this fight. He has a small chance of victory, but he has a small chance of victory. That's how I look at it. He's a lot bigger. I believe he punches harder. He has a much bigger reach. But he's also out-skilled, out-speeded. You know, probably has Canelo has a better chin. Like, you know, when you're fighting a pound-for-pound great, there's certain things that have got to happen in the fight that have got to go your way. Maybe Canelo's had a terrible camp. I don't know.
You know,
maybe he's carrying an injury. You know, these are all things that could mean that Rocky has more chance in the fight. If Canelo is firing on all cylinders and puts in a career-best performance, we're right up against it.
Okay.
Right, and then he's probably Rocky's got a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
But there are certain things, and he has a very good trainer in Jamie Moore. They have a great game plan. They're here. You know, this isn't a case of like Rocky's not here for the payday. You know, don't get me wrong. Rocky's here for the experience, but he's here to be in these kind of moments. Because as a fighter, and what are you going to do? You know, I've seen people say, he shouldn't be taking this fight. What the fuck are you supposed to do? You win a world title, then you get a phone call to fight at Madison Square Gardens against Canelo for a load of money in a life-changing moment. What are you like? This is why you're in the game. He never asked me about the money. I told him, "Will you like Canelo?" He said, "Well, I can't believe it. right, let's go. It wasn't like, when is it? How much is it? Those things are irrelevant. It was, this is my opportunity. This is why I'm in the game, to wait for these kind of opportunities and moments.
You know, I think it's kind of the opposite because, you know, even Oscar told me that he didn't want this fight. He didn't want this weight class, and that he's a little worried because, you know, going up in weight is difficult, you know.
Especially when you see the size of Fielding. I mean, Fielding's a big 168-pounder. He's not like ripped to shreds, but he's very, very tall. He's going to be significantly heavier than Canelo on the fight. But, you know, though that will make it a fairer fight because at middleweight, Canelo is pound for pound, he's a pound for pound great. And Fielding is not a pound for pound great, but he's a big super middleweight who's world champion, who's strong. And actually the weight and size disparity actually makes it a better fight and a fairer fight because there's not many people that can compete with Canelo.
Yeah, you're right. Now, as far as, do you know information on how the ticket sales are going? Because
I believe very strong.
Because a lot of us in New York, we've had these conversations that we're wondering if people are going to come out for Canelo like Puerto Ricans come out for Cotto.
Yeah, I think they will be. I mean, I think the truth is I don't actually know because it's not my business. But hearing on the grapevine of being around people, I think you'll be quite surprised by how many will be in here on Saturday.
That's great.
And I think as well, you know, also it's understanding the marketplace. Like, as big as Canelo is, he could walk around Times Square and he wouldn't get mobbed. Like, people would know who he was. But like, you imagine, you've been over for our shows. Like AJ was walking around, I don't know, Trafalgar Square. Like, he wouldn't be able to move. So it's just like, I don't know. It's a challenge for us understanding the market as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know the market in the UK. We know how to drive numbers, how to drive ticket sales. We know how to drive fighter profiles. But here, it really takes some learning and some skill. Because just because Canelo's fighting at Madison Square Gardens doesn't mean that everyone's going to turn up. You know, like Anthony Joshua could box at Wembley. You don't even need to know the opponent. 80,000, 70,000 people are going. Obviously, as his career develops, people they want. But if Canelo, like if this was in England and Canelo, like if Canelo was boxing at O2 against Rocky Fielding, like it would sell out in 5 minutes. And there aren't even many Mexicans in the UK, do you know what I mean? But it's just a more mature market in terms of knowledge of what's happening. So I think there'll be a big crowd on Saturday, and I think the next sort of, what I've also noticed in America is the walk-up numbers. Yeah. Like, in England, everybody buys their tickets when they first go on sale.
Yes.
They still buy them up to the event, but like 2 days before, you might do 100, 200. Here, you might do 2,000 or 3,000.
Yeah, that's true.
On fight day, you might do 2,000 or 3,000. So, what does it hold in here? 20,000, something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe they've only done 10,000 at the moment. I don't know, but that wouldn't be a worry because Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I expect them to do another 5,000 or 6,000. I don't know that, by the way, but I would be very surprised if it wasn't packed in here on Saturday night.
My last question, because you know, you've already answered the heavyweight stuff, and I'm a little tired of that. Anyway. Amir Khan and him maybe fighting Terance Crawford. Yeah. Is there any updates on that? Because
no, he's undecided. Yeah, I mean they're both great fights. He's got Kell Brook, which is a fight his entire country is desperate for and has wanted for years and years and years. And there's Terance Crawford, who is pound for pound top 5 in the world. The Crawford fight is a very, very difficult fight. It's less money than the Kell Brook fight. So on paper, you've got an easier fight for more money. You would take that one that your country wants. But there is also the challenge of Crawford. Amir likes to step up and take these challenges. There's a world title on the line, but he's already won world titles. So it's like, you know, it's like that at the moment, to be honest with you. And we're going to sit down next week and chat through the options. And there's no bad option. You know, I mean, they're both great fights. But if he believes he can beat Kell Brook, he should probably take that and then Crawford after. Okay. You know, because it's going to increase his value, and he's also going to give his countrymen the fight. You know, like I said, going back to Britain, if he doesn't fight Brook in England, he will always be. People will always say, "You didn't fight Brook. You didn't give us what you wanted. You swerved Brook." So there is that element as well. Maybe he doesn't care about that. I want him to fight Kell Brook, and if he beats Kell Brook, he can fight Crawford after.
You know, I think people are short-sighted in Amir because, you know, he's been knocked out, but he's never been outboxed.
No,
even in his
he can outbox anybody. I mean, he's technically great. He's got amazing speed. You know, but look.